fancy intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and just a quick apology for this video coming out a little bit later than expected. I know told some of y'all that it'd be out early today, but my wife's been throwing up since 1 and my son's having a bad day. So it's been a little bit jumbled and mumbled over here, but we're going to talk today about ROE, and I know you're thinking just like, oh, well, here comes Rev. He's just going to trash our ROE again. No, believe it or not, that's not the case today. But what I am going to do is talk about what I think are some valuable tools, or a new valuable tool that can help you and your alliance kind of find that happy medium with your server and just try to find rules that we can all kind of work on based around the diplomacy feature here that they have updated. Now, for those that don't remember, there used to be a time where there weren't many different categories of diplomacy, and now there are, which has been a great addition to the game. If you agree, simple, like the video. We'll show Scopely that people actually like the diplomacy updates. Well, I've been working with a server 17, specifically GNN, and a couple of their individuals to help create a tool called Dire, which is Diplomacy Integrated ROE. And one of the reasons I love this and really enjoyed working with GNN and Deviant here is because for anybody that's part of Server 17, you know that for a long time, especially GNN, and he don't mind me talking about this, very, very anti how Rev views ROE, which I am not a fan of universal ROE, being that I don't think a single server set of rules should apply to every player in the game. But I do think that there are more things we agree on than things that we disagree on. And that's part of what has inspired this, is trying to find those common grounds. Now, this version is a little bit adapted to what I run. However, for those curious or those wanting to go about this themselves, say, hey, we really like this idea, but I want to take it and really modify it for our server, our alliance, whatever. And that's completely okay. What you need to do is go over to my Discord. So right now on the screen, I'm going to put my Discord up. Bam. Here's my Discord. It's our captain's quarters. But if you come down, if you join the Discord for the first time, go to rules and help. And if you join, it should ask you. But if you don't have the role, make sure you apply the STFC player role. So you can see these channels down here. And if you go down to server rows, I've pinned it down at the bottom. So this is exactly where it's at. It's under server rows. If you want to get this file, make a copy. You can use Google PowerPoint for free. Make a copy and edit it however your alliance or your server needs to go. But I think uniformity goes a long way to bringing us all together and helping us understand what works. So let's go back to Dire itself. Here's how it's set up. Now I made some slight adjustments based on me, but RevRow is the simple stuff you've heard me say forever. OPC is OPC, shield or share. We even have SOS down there at the bottom. 0 nodes are free, but everything else you basically leave alone. And what this does is it gives you a handy chart, and it uses the diplomacy from an alliance setting. So if you are in an alliance and your leadership uses this, you immediately know what you can and can't do based on what you see around the galaxy. And most servers have probably got about 20-ish alliances, maybe a few more, maybe a few less, where those are the most common people you're going to see every day. And if you had them marked in a certain way, you would know whether you can attack them or not, or whether you can do anything regarding them or not. For example, let's talk about something that I know not everybody agrees with Rev on. Rev is really big on minors or OPC always. Well, I've got it said here that that's always the case. OPC, RevRow, OPC is OPC, but you could change that, right? Like you could decide that if you're allied, no hits. I've never personally understood that. I think if you're OPC, you would want your allies to get it rather than the bad guys, but whatever. You can make it whatever you want, but you simply align it to the categories and you agree on that. Floaters. Even I'm okay with floaters, but would I say that allied or friendly should be hit? No. I think you take out floaters if you want to, if they're caution, unfriendly, even neutral, but you make a set for that. And again, this is a fully editable document where we simply break down the most important layers and find the things we all agree on. All of us can basically agree that you don't go hitting random minors for no reason, right? I think we all kind of agree on that. We all agree that armadas probably should be left alone completely unless you're at war with somebody, right? We can probably agree with those. So what I found is as we go through this process, there's so much that works for both high levels, low levels, mid-level spenders, free to play, and there's so many things that we agree on. But having all that actually in a easy to digestible set, and I'm a person that loves visuals, is hard to find these days. But this is how we have it set up currently, and I think it's a useful way for everybody to kind of take a look at ROE in general. I'm a firm believer that each alliance sets up their own ROE. I think that is the way that you find groups that work the best together. That way, if these 90 people want to be slightly different than these 90 people. Give an example, Rev. Fine. Rev's ROE includes OPC and token space. A lot don't. You know what? If I was, say, in the largest whale alliance and I was running a whale alliance, I'm going to use the term whale alliance, I don't mean it offensively, but if you are, say, the biggest alliance on the server, do you really need or care to use token systems for your mining? No, you probably have plenty. So are you out there OPC hunting tokens? You might not be, but you know who probably should be? That lower level alliance who needs to get as much as they possibly can, and maybe they allow it, but they never allow it with their allies. It doesn't matter. The point is, this gives you a format to try to find some concise, agreeable points that everybody can relate to, and it's easy to show another alliance how you actually line up. What I mean by that is, if somebody doesn't know what your rules are, bam, hey, we've got you marked as friendly. Here's everything we can do. We've got you marked as caution because you've been doing some sketchy stuff. You've been clearing systems. Bam, here's exactly what we can do regarding your ships. And there's no confusion. It's bam, post the graphic, bam, bam. I'm overusing that word so much. I'm so sorry. But for real, I was really excited to work with this on GNN, and it's one of those that, whether you agree with me or not, one thing that we all want, whether you're the ROE should be more open-ended, ROE should be very dedicated and set, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, we all want the same thing. We're all fighting for longevity of the game. We're all fighting for player retention. We don't want people to unnecessarily leave for no reason. And you have to find what works for your community by doing stuff like this. So again, this chart will be available to everybody. If y'all want to use my version, you can. If you want to use a version you make, you absolutely can. And I will also provide the version that GNN uses, because theirs is slightly different than mine. And again, I did ask them for an editable version when they finished the full mock-up, because you're going to have slight differences. And, you know, we actually got to a good discussion, because their version doesn't allow any hits anywhere. I mean, anywhere if you're allied. And for me, that's kind of wild. Like I said, if I'm thinking of, when I'm looking at it from a perspective of who I want to get my OPC, because if I'm OPC, I kind of go into it with the knowledge that Rev's going to get hit. But that's how I see it. Like, I'm going to get smacked no matter what. So I'd rather get smacked by an ally. But not everybody sees it like that. And just to give you an example, here is theirs. So this is STD ROE, yes, their alliance. And this is what GNN and them have. Again, you can edit it to whatever you want to apply to you, but it makes it easy for your people to understand and for anybody on your server to understand where exactly you align. And if somehow you manage to come together with your entire server and y'all all agree on these things, well, then maybe y'all can make just a universal one. Here's server 36's Dire. Done. Visual, succinct, clear, everybody understands it. Either way, I hope you enjoy the tool, and I hope it helps you, because that's the goal at the end of the day. People like myself, GNN, and anyone that you've had the discussion with, we all want the same goal, even if we're trying different methods to get there. And hopefully you can use stuff like this to find that for your alliance and your server. A couple other things I want to hit on real quick. Number one, if y'all missed it before, if you're not sure exactly, join the Discord. I have this posted for those curious. Join the Discord. It's in the Discord. Let me swap this screen real quick so I can show you which channel it was in. It is in the Server Road channel right there. And all you got to do is join the Discord. Link is in the description of this video. If you've never done that before, well, it's not too terribly difficult. Join the Discord and simply come down into the STFC channels. Go to Server Row and you can find it right here. Make yourself a copy and have at it. And feel free to give feedback, right? I mean, feel free to say, hey, this needs to be altered, or this needs to change, or maybe I'm not a huge fan of this particular feature. And then one more thing to announce for those interested. We've mentioned it on Twitch, but if you head over to our merch store, you can do two things. One, you can support us. If you want to pick out a t-shirt or something like that, I think it's pretty dope. I've actually got my Booty Hunter hat sitting right here because I do love hunting OPC. But also our movie night starting in May, if y'all hadn't heard, we're going to be doing movie nights where we watch stuff together. I've still not watched things like Fifth Element, Demolition Man, and people are giving me a whole bunch of stuff to watch last night. If you want to be part of that, all you got to do is sign up. Anybody who's lieutenant or above can be part of that, or you can simply sign up to simply support the channel. Either way, it's greatly appreciated. That's revdeuce.com. Y'all are amazing. Let me know what other ways I can help you. Oh, and one last thing. I forgot. I want to talk about this. Uno momento, por favor. The event store. I am not telling y'all, because I never do, that you should buy something. But one of the packs I've always complained about are the officer choice packs. The reason I complained about officer choice packs is because you would see this, and then there would be like 10 officers, and it would have 100% for all of them. Like you would get a full officer, but it was chance. You never knew what you were going to get, and you would end up with like Mitchell and Borg Barrett, and you'd be mad because you wanted Cisco or you wanted Worf. Well, this version's better because you get 100 epic officer comm badges, and then what you do is you take that into the event store and you actually get to choose what epic officer you get, which right now is 4 different ones: Cisco, Una, Jayla, and Data. Now, the only sourcing for Data is through away teams. The only sourcing for Jayla is by running the rares. There are Swarmadas. The only sourcing for Una is through Incursion Store, and Cisco is for only level 40 plus players going through Dominion Solo Armada packages. So these are all hard to source officers. Our personal favorite of the list is Cisco, followed by Jayla, then probably Data. Data's a pretty unique officer. His captain's ability, really nice for Armadas. His officer ability, though, can be super sweet if you get it tiered up. Granted, you need to get it quite tiered up. So in terms of that, if you do want to be a spender, that pack is much better than what they've offered in the past, per Rev's opinion. Anyway, live long and prosper. Stay safe with our Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. Catch you on the next video, which will be tomorrow. And again, sorry for the delay and being a little bit all over the place today. Been a rough one. Love y'all. Y'all are amazing.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.